Well, hello there. Welcome back to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. I'm really excited today to share with you my thoughts on one of my favorite directors. This is the fourth in my director series where I take a specific director and I focus on 3 to 4 films from that director's filmography. So today's Taste of Directors video is on none other than Spike Lee. Spike Lee has done some amazing films in his nearly 40-year career, making films going back to the 1980s. And I'm really excited about these 4 films that I've selected in this Taste of Spike Lee. So let's get started. So a little bit about the director. Spike Lee was born Shelton Jackson Lee in March of 1957 in Atlanta, Georgia, and he moved to Brooklyn, New York at an early age. Lee attended Morehouse College and he studied filmmaking at Clarke Atlanta University. So early on, he made a few short films in the early 80s until he made She's Gotta Have It in 1986, and that's where his career really took off. And he started his production company, 40 Acres and a Mule. Over the years, Spike Lee has directed or produced well over 50 film projects, including documentaries and feature films, and he's known as being one of the leading cinematic voices of the Black experience in the world today, and he has been for the last 4 decades. Spike Lee is known for his collaborations over the years with legendary actor Denzel Washington, editor Barry Alexander, and composer Terrence Blanchard on many of his film projects. So Spike Lee's movies are known for dealing with multiple aspects of the Black American experience. If I had to sum it up in a few words, what the experience of watching Spike Lee films means to me, I would say this: you cannot watch a Spike Lee movie and not be deeply affected. That's what his films mean to me. They are so deeply affecting and rich in their storytelling and the way that he conveys the message of the Black experience in America. It makes you think, it makes you ponder, and you leave the film deeply affected and with a lot to think about and process. And that's what I love about Spike Lee's films. So in this Taste of Directors series for Spike Lee, I'm focusing on 4 films in this discussion. I'm going to talk about Do the Right Thing from 1989, Bamboozled from 2000, Blackkklansman from 2018, and The Five Bloods from 2020. The first movie is Do the Right Thing from 1989, and this is the recent Criterion Collection edition, Blu-ray edition of this movie. I saw this Criterion edition on DVD for many years in Barnes & Noble, and I waited patiently for them to finally release the Blu-ray, and they finally did in July of 2019. So I picked it up and I'm really happy that I did. This is a fantastic edition from Criterion. This is a great movie from Spike Lee. This movie is from 1989 and it is probably his most famous work, and it is a seminal work in his filmography, and it is just a landmark piece of cinema. So in Do the Right Thing, racial relations hit a fever pitch and explode on a very hot and humid summer day in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, New York City. This movie does an amazing job portraying the complexities and the dynamics of race relations amongst multiple different cultures and races, all in one big melting pot, all happening in just a few streets in this neighborhood of Brooklyn, New York. There's so many rich and amazing characters in this movie, from Samuel L. Jackson's DJ, to Mookie, played by Spike Lee, to Sal, played by Danny Aiello. You have Ossie Davis in here, who plays the mayor. You have Ruby Dee playing Mother Sister. I mean, you've got Rosie Perez, who does a great opening dance scene. You know, when this movie's opening up to Fight the Power, that is pretty awesome to watch from the very beginning of this film. But this film is just deep and rich and incredible in the way it deals with race relations. If you have not seen Do the Right Thing from Spike Lee, I highly recommend checking it out. The issues that are presented in this movie from over 30 years ago, unfortunately, those issues are still resident in our world today. And this is just a great film to check out from Spike Lee. It's probably his most famous work, and I highly, highly recommend it. Do the Right Thing from 1989. Check it out. Let me get a quick swig here. All right. So the second film that I'm going to cover in this taste of Spike Lee's filmography is a film from 2000, and this is another great film and also another great addition from the Criterion Collection, and it's called Bamboozled. This is a film from 2000 directed by Spike Lee, and this film deals with a very serious issue that has also gotten some recent news, and it's called the issue of blackface. So in this movie, Spike Lee is just giving us a full look through the lens of the very dark history of the dehumanizing use of blackface in American entertainment. And this movie and this edition from the Criterion Collection does an amazing job of portraying that and really showing and educating and providing the history behind it and really explaining why it's so dehumanizing and so offensive. And it's an issue that actually has current relevance. I think we've heard a couple of stories in recent years of entertainers who have apologized for their past portrayals of using blackface. So this is an issue that is talking about a history that has happened over multiple decades ago, but it also has relevance and meaning to our culture today in terms of recent events related to this issue. So this is a great addition from Criterion. It does a great job of portraying this very serious issue. It does it in a way that's very entertaining and interesting, but also very serious, which is, I think, a hallmark of Spike Lee's film. So this movie deals with some very, very deep issues. I highly recommend checking it out. It's the kind of film that you want to just watch and process and just take it in. You know, it's dealing with some very serious issues, some very deep issues, and director Spike Lee just comes right at it. He doesn't really cut corners. He doesn't, dance around it. He comes right at it. And I think this is the kind of film that is very educational and very eye-opening and very enlightening. And I highly, highly recommend it. Bamboozled from Spike Lee, 2000. Check it out. Okay, so the third film that I'm going to talk about from director Spike Lee in this Taste of Directors series edition for Spike Lee is a more recent film, and it came out just a couple of years ago. And it's a film starring the son of one of Mr. Lee's frequent collaborators, Denzel Washington. And this is Blackkklansman, starring John David Washington and Adam Driver in this film that was also produced by Jordan Peele. This is a fantastic film. I absolutely love this film. It's a modern film from Spike Lee. Of course, we talked about Do the Right Thing from 1989 and Bamboozle from 2000. This is a more recent film. So Blackkklansman is based on a true story from the 1970s of a black police officer played by John David Washington and a Jewish police officer played by Adam Driver, who are based in Colorado, and they team up to infiltrate the Ku Klux Klan, or the KKK. So it's based on a true story. It's from the 1970s. This is a fantastic film from Spike Lee. It's a tour de force that's described on here. But this is a stunning, stunning achievement from Spike Lee that I thoroughly enjoyed. It's been a little while since I've seen it. I do want to pop this in the player to revisit this one, but this is an absolutely amazing film, and this 4K Ultra HD edition looks amazing. The picture quality on this is absolutely fantastic. But if you have not seen Blackkklansman, this is a great story. It's a great Spike Lee joint, and I highly, highly recommend it. Check this one out, Blackkklansman. Okay, so the fourth and last film that I'm going to cover in this Taste of Director series for Spike Lee is a film from 2020 that just recently came out. And this is one of Chadwick Boseman's last films. It's called The Five Bloods, and this came out in 2020. Right, so The Five Bloods from Spike Lee is about 4 black Vietnam War veterans who are returning to Vietnam to gather the remains of their fallen teammate Stormin Norman, who was played by Chadwick Boseman, and to find the gold that they had discovered and hid there in Vietnam. The Five Bloods by Spike Lee is a war movie that I highly, highly recommend. It is deeply affecting, it's deeply moving, and man, it left me devastated at the end, okay? I mean, I went from being mildly into it the first hour of watching this movie to being absolutely devastated by the time I got to the 2.5 hour point. This story of the Five Bloods is so deep and so rich in the way that it deals with these multiple aspects of the legacy of the war in Vietnam that it just blew my mind. So this is a Netflix film. It's presented in 4K in Dolby Vision, and I had a chance to see this on my 4K TV that supports Dolby Vision, and the picture quality looks great. This movie looks great in Dolby Vision HDR. And I highly recommend taking in the viewing experience on your 4K TV if at all possible. But listen, if you have not seen The Five Bloods, if you like war movies, and if you have any interest in Spike Lee films, if you have an interest in seeing one of Chadwick Boseman's last works, I highly recommend checking out The Five Bloods. It is a deeply moving and affecting film. I would just prepare myself going into it. It's a long movie, it's about 2.5 hours. So, it may be something you may have to break up a little bit, but I highly recommend checking it out. It is a great, great film from Spike Lee from 2020, The Five Bloods. Check it out. Okay, so there you have it. That's my taste of Spike Lee films, covering 4 films from Spike Lee's filmography, including Do the Right Thing from 1989, Bamboozled from 2000, Blackkklansman from 2018, and The Five Bloods from 2020. These are just 4 films from Spike Lee's filmography. Of course, Spike Lee has done over 50 films, either as a director or as a producer, and has been involved in many, many film projects throughout the years. And so his filmography goes well beyond these 4 films. He's done many other amazing feature films, such as Mo Better Blues, Malcolm X, Inside Man, and many others. But these are just the 4 films that I focused on for this Taste of Directors series. So let me know in the comments below, what do you think about these films from Spike Lee? Are you a Spike Lee fan? If so, what are your favorite films from Spike Lee's filmography? Also, let me know what films you're looking forward to seeing in 2021. What films are you most looking forward to seeing later this year? I'm looking forward to seeing A Quiet Place Part 2, the new Matrix film. I'm looking forward to seeing Fast and Furious 9 or F9. And I'm looking forward to seeing No Time to Die. And I'm also hoping to see that new Wes Anderson film called The French Dispatch, which I believe is coming out later this year as well. But let me know in the comments below what movies you're looking forward to seeing in 2021. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time in the movies. Peace.